Day 9. Today's title is going to be, you don't need the whole map. You don't need the whole picture. You don't need the whole... Okay, so we're going to read Exodus 22 through 27. That's what we're talking about today. Then Moses led the people of Israel away from the Red Sea, and they moved out into the desert of Shur. They traveled in this desert for 3 days without finding any water. When they came to the oasis of Marah, the water was too bitter to drink, so they called the place Marah, which means bitter. Then the people complained and turned against Moses. "What are we going to drink?" they demanded. So Moses cried out to the Lord for help, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. Moses threw it into the water, and this made the water good to drink. It was there at Marah that the Lord set before them the following decree as a standard to test their faithfulness to him. He said, "If you will listen carefully to the voice of the Lord your God and do what is right in his sight, obeying his commands and keeping all his decrees, then I will not make you suffer any of the diseases I sent on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you." After leaving Marah, the Israelites traveled on to the oasis of Elim, where they found 12 springs and 70 palm trees. They camped there beside the water. So, as you can imagine, we talked about last week Moses parting the sea and having to just, believe that God was going to make a way for these people to escape Egypt, right? So, Israel had just experienced one of the greatest miracles in Scripture, period. Number one, he brought them out of Egypt. God brought them out of Egypt. He parted the Red Sea. He delivered them from Pharaoh. And then, instead of taking them immediately into the Promised Land, he led them into the wilderness. I don't know why it's hard to say. Why is that so important? Because sometimes we assume that if God tells us to leave something, he's going to immediately show us exactly where we're going. That's not what happened to Israel. And that certainly isn't what happens to us. They knew what they were leaving. They knew that God had promised them a land, like this amazing place, right? But they didn't know everything that would happen between that point A and point B. God gave them a destination. He didn't give them the whole map. He didn't tell them, first you're going to go here, then you're going to go here, like Dora the Explorer. He didn't do that. 3 days into the journey, they found themselves without water. And the people complained and turned against Moses. "What are we going to drink?" they demanded. They're grumbling against Moses. Like, okay, yeah, you just parted the Red Sea and we just escaped those guys, but how are we going to survive now? I thought God promised us XYZ. I thought we were supposed to go to a place where we're safe and have water and it's going to be so amazing. What is this promised land? This is where I think Scripture becomes incredibly relevant to actual life, because we can do the exact same thing. God can bring us out of something we've prayed to escape, and then when the uncomfortable and we start questioning whether we should have left in the first place. I know a lot of single moms or stay-at-home moms would understand this too, because a lot of people say it's cheaper to keep her, right? Which means the dad doesn't want to pay child support, the mom's gonna have to go to work now she can't do this with her kids, she can't drop them off, pick them up, or any of these things. How is she gonna afford to live? How is she gonna provide for all of these kids? But the thing is, instead of thinking, maybe I made the wrong decision, maybe I should go back, maybe the old situation wasn't that bad, it really wasn't that bad, or the job, right? You left the job for a reason, but sometimes money isn't coming how you are expecting it to come with this huge change. You start off with all this momentum and then it falls apart little by little. And we're not going backward. It's a part of it. So that season of discomfort is where you have the decision to go back because it was familiar, or trust God's plan and move forward in the direction of your good. Israel knew Egypt. They knew the food, they knew the culture, they knew the routines, they knew what life looked like there. The wilderness was completely unfamiliar. But unfamiliar doesn't mean wrong. It doesn't mean it was a wrong choice. It doesn't mean that God made a mistake. It doesn't mean that God lied. Sometimes it's just the place where God is teaching you how to live differently. And then there's something else that we gotta understand. Like, there's so many layers to just these couple sentences. Eventually, Israel did reach the land that God promised. But when they got there, it didn't look like the easy victory they imagined. This isn't in Exodus, but in Numbers 13, Moses sent 12 spies into Canaan. Okay? They came back carrying enormous fruit from the land. Caleb was like, we should go up and take possession of the land, for we can certainly do it. Right? And we can't attack those people. They're stronger than we are. And then we go to Numbers 13:31. The people were scared, okay? Like, we sent a spy out to go see what's over there, and then they come back with more than what we have, but God promised us the promised land. The people were even saying, wouldn't it be better for us to go back to Egypt? Man. I know in my divorce, there was, the first couple months, it was hard. I had those moments. And I know that sounds scary and crazy because of what literally I just escaped from. But these people had spent generations crying out to God because they were suffering in Egypt. And God answered their prayer. He brought them out. Such a human response. I mean, that's something that we all do. That's a normal emotion that arises in discomfort. So when we ask God for change, we have this idea in our mind of what the best case scenario is, because God always just is the best case scenario, right? It's not that he didn't promise and he's not fulfilling his promise. It's that there's going to be some molding to get to the promise, but you got to take the step to go forward. So on the other side of the door may require courage, discipline, patience, faith, all the things that we never had to develop before. And that's the biggest lesson of all of this. God's plan does not have to look like your plan in order for it to be good. We want God to give us the exact outcome we imagined. Like, okay, I'm listening. We want the exact relationship, the exact career, the exact house, the exact timeline, the exact way everything is supposed to go. I want to know A, B, C, D, F, G. Like today, for example, I needed a paper from the therapy for Social Security and Department of Children and Families to support me and my kids' needs, right? And so this is a period of my life where I'm like, God, tell me what to do next and I'll do it. I'm doing everything I possibly can. I'm sharing the word, I'm working, I'm building relationships, I'm staying positive. What is it? And I literally told the lady today, like, God, let me know what's going on. And that's what we want, right? We want him to send us a message or a pigeon or something, be like, Alicia, step 1, I want you to wash your face in the morning and then go to this neighborhood and knock on this door, and this client's going to be waiting for you at the door. It doesn't work like that. Nothing works like that. That's not real life, because the whole point of this is how you're being built in the process, from the obedience all the way to the promise. Okay, so something else I don't want to skip over is every morning you wake up, you are experiencing something you are not ever gonna experience again, and you must remember that you are not guaranteed tomorrow. Okay, to put it in perspective, according to the CDC, 3,072,666 people died in the United States in 2024. That's an average of more than 8,000 deaths every single day. And I'm not saying that to freak you out. I'm saying it because sometimes we are so consumed with the future and like what we have to do and this appointment and that appointment and make money. We forget the gift of today, the gift of the present. We're obsessing over, what if my business doesn't work? What if that deal falls through? What if I fail? What if I make the wrong decision? What if my life doesn't turn out the way that I planned? What if this makes me look like a fool? And meanwhile, forgetting about the fact you're alive, you're breathing, you have the mental capacity to take on the day and have all these thoughts and take care of yourself. Even the ability to brush your own teeth, wash your own body, use your legs to walk. You have another morning. You have opportunities for conversations, opportunities to make a different decision. Anything, whatever that means. Going for a walk first thing in the morning. You have another opportunity to love somebody. You have another opportunity to obey God. You have another opportunity with every moment that passes that you're blessed with. In James 4:14, it says, why? You do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. That's not scripture telling us that life is meaningless. It's telling us that life is short. It is short. It is so short. And because it is short, we shouldn't waste it demanding certainty about a future we were never promised. Literally. We're going to hit it with another one. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. Now, it doesn't say, understand everything first. It says, trust. Just trust. That's the difference. And that is hard. Sometimes that is hard. But you know what? If there's anything that I can trust in 100%, it's God. It's every word in this book. It's the truth that is clear as day. You don't need the entire map. You need to know who you're following. Who is your guide? And sometimes that next step of like, stay or go, that's all you get. So if you're in a season right now where you don't understand what's happening, like I am, don't automatically assume you've missed God. Maybe you're in the wilderness. And this is also why I love Russ. Shout out to Russ. He has an album called Wild. You should listen to it. Maybe you're learning something you couldn't have learned in Egypt. Maybe the thing you thought was the destination is actually just another step. Maybe God is asking you to surrender the version of the future you've created in your head so that you can actually receive the future he has for you. Like maybe he's just asking you to let it go. Let go and let me. Let me show you. And maybe the most faithful thing you can do today isn't figuring everything out or what's that next step. Maybe it's just having a serious conversation with God and asking him, like, what am I holding on to because it's familiar? What has God already made clear that I'm avoiding? And dive into those things. Don't demand certainty for something that isn't even promised. Be kind to yourself and others. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.